the Chakra System, the Kundalini and Chakra System, which is all integrated. There's a picture of all of our nadis and our aura and energy. The base chakra is the lower frequency spectrum, and then we've got the highest frequency spectrum at the very top. A lot of people who have Kundalini Rising will see things, and like I said, for me, it's in the back of my head. They'll see a snake.
Hello and welcome to Humanize the Hustle. Here we believe that health and happiness is non-negotiable. Hey, welcome back to Humanize the Hustle. Today we are going to be talking about Kundalini Energy and the Chakra System. Working with Kundalini Energy and chakras for healing is a practice deeply rooted in various Eastern spiritual traditions, particularly in yoga and Hinduism. The belief is that balancing and awakening the chakras, as well as harnessing the powerful Kundalini energy, can promote physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Our guest, Debora Cohen, is not only a transpersonal coach, energy healer, nutrition expert, and yoga enthusiast, but is also a published author who has experienced her own Kundalini Awakening. Her short and insightful book on the Chakra System and Kundalini Rising is a must-read for anyone looking to explore the depths of their personal and spiritual journey. Debora brings with her 30 years of experience in health and wellness and many health and wellness certifications. So not only is she a Master-Instructor of Integrated Energy Therapy and also a Certified Energy Health Practitioner, she's also a Law of Attraction coach, nutrition coach, master in Reiki, and she's also the author of the book, Kundalini, Empowering the Mind, Body, Heart, and Soul. She's a dynamic individual with a deep passion for transpersonal coaching and energy healing because it works on both the conscious and subconscious mind. Utilizing self-empowering tools to eliminate suffering. Pause. I'm going to read that again. She's a dynamic individual with a deep passion for transpersonal coaching and energy healing because it works on both the conscious and subconscious mind, utilizing self-empowering tools to help eliminate suffering. In addition to her professional accomplishments, Debora is a true philanthropist. Serving as a mentor for Rising worldwide, she also contributes to various nonprofit organizations and volunteers for the Auxiliary Coast Guard. Debora will be sharing her own experiences with awakening the potent goddess Shakti energy known as Kundalini, and she's here to help educate us on how to balance our chakra system. Her passion, knowledge, and personal journey are truly inspiring, and I'm confident that you'll gain valuable insight from our conversation today. Without further ado, welcome, Debora.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so wonderful to be here. I've been excited about our time together.
Same. And I knew that when I wanted to bring someone on to talk about Kundalini, of course, you first came to mind because I've taken a course with you. And I also think it's really exciting that you can share your personal story of your Kundalini awakening, which is so super cool. And I think it's really exciting to show people and to explain to people like what can actually happen. And I'll let you get into it, but I know sometimes people think they're going crazy, but really they're just like being reborn. And so you can get into that in a little bit, but we'll start at the beginning and just set a baseline for everyone listening. So what is Kundalini energy and Kundalini awakening maybe, and why is it considered such a potent force in yoga and spirituality?
Well, Kundalini energy, from my research and understanding, it's this part of who this energy of how we're made, who we are. From what I understand, it helps develop us in the womb, and then it lies, this powerful energy of creation lies coiled up dormant at the base of our spine, waiting to be awakened. And Tantra, which is Tantra, a lot of people, they think of Tantra a certain way here in the U.S., but I think it's becoming more well known that Tantra is really a lot of almost like a shamanistic belief system of spiritual beliefs that really honor like Earth and the goddess, and it comes to us from India. It's very, very old tradition, thousands and thousands of years old. And so it's that tradition brings us the chakra system, the Kundalini and Chakra System, which is all integrated. There's a picture of all of our nadis and our aura and energy. It's really quite fascinating. But so what I understand is it's a powerful force that helps us to be more who we are as human beings when it's awakened. For me, I feel it really integrating into my body. Like it'll move me. I'll have spontaneous sounds and movements when I do energy work. In fact, that's how I knew when it awakened. All of these things were really happening that was just really weird and crazy. And most people that I talk to will share something similar, like things will happen that aren't just the normal. Like it's not like you're, having necessarily a vision. It actually moves the body, like you actually feel it physically in your body. It's that's very
Like twitches. Maybe like twitches,
more
or
than a
some
twitch.
people might think it's like Tourette's.
Yeah. It's like Tourette's, but like, right, sort of like that. But yeah, I could, and that it really affects your nervous system. Like it really, like I remember when it first started in me, I just thought, well, let's just go with it and see what happens. But all it did was wear me out. So it wasn't like, and luckily for me, I was able to stop. Like if I stopped meditating and just kind of got on with my life and did stuff, I wouldn't have a problem. It was only when I was doing like the meditations or maybe yoga postures really help it move, right? Your body wants to move. Dancing really helps it move. Some people just can't help themselves get up and dance, right? Some religions, dancing is a big part of their spirituality because they just get up and start dancing and they call it dancing in the spirit. But that's pretty much what it's like. It's like you're being moved by this force, this energy, and it's amazing because when I feel like I'm really tuning inside, in a non-dualistic way, and that's another topic, right? Is when I get more in touch with, like, not just when I'm meditating or doing energy work, but throughout the day. If I remember to tune in, it's like an immediate response inside of me, like a physical immediate response. That's something not just, it's not a relaxation. I mean, you relax, but it's something that is something that's a part of us that that for some people when it awakens, like when I've had clients have this energy start awakening, they're just like freaked out.
Yeah.
Because it's so different. It's so unusual.
So it's source energy. It's like source creation energy. Is that right?
It's like source creation energy, I think is a good way to say it, because it's said to be energy of creation, which is feminine energy, which is referred to the goddess energy or divine mother energy, or the energy that kind of is earth energy. Like if you think of yin yang or sun moon or heaven and earth, it would be more the black part of the yin yang symbol, or the earth part, the creation part. The power, the Shakti is referred to like feminine power. I don't know if that helps understand.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Shakti, like the goddess Shakti, and the connection maybe between the goddess Shakti and Kundalini.
Yeah. So she is more, if you think of divine feminine and divine masculine and that yin yang, or like we need both for existence. And so it's there's a lot of there's a lot of symbolism that comes with Tantra, and there's a lot of symbolism in spirituality in general, or mystical symbolism as it being romantic. of it being this romantic relationship between the goddess Shakti, Kundalini energy, that once she awakens from the base of the spine, she wants to rise up to the top of the head to connect with the divine masculine. And so there's this very romantic relationship going on. And that's within us. Everybody experiences it at some sort of personal level. And I think that's why Tantra has used sex as a way to awaken it, although it's only one practice that they use. But, and so there's a relationship between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so when she awakens, she goes up through the chakra system. And now traditionally in like traditional texts, they liken it as a serpent because of how it feels in the body and how it might move the spine. And I've had people say it's like this erotic feeling of this energy going up my spine. I've had this one client say this exactly, like textbook like, and it would happen in the middle of the night and he didn't know what was happening to him. It would wake him up. And he's an engineer. And so like, I'm just saying, he's an engineer who likes to practice yoga and get energy work done.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it awakens, it's going through the chakra system, and we have nadis that crisscross through the chakra system, these central meridians. And then we have this one big central meridian. And that, if you think of it the way it's crisscrossing, in fact, I teach people figure eights. It's like a figure eight as it's going up to the top of the head. And then once it's in union, you feel like this sense of, well, everybody traditionally, you feel this sense of oneness to all things. You don't feel this dual nature. And so it's more of this,
as is yoga,
right?
It all comes back to union.
Right. Yeah. So it's an amazing experience.
Yeah. So, why, like, let's just say, you have your engineer client you're talking about, like, what would lead someone to the path of wanting to explore awakening their Kundalini energy? Like, how do you know if it's needs awakening?
Yeah, that's a really good question because some people don't have the most positive experiences with it, and they have to go on psychotropic medicine. And some people, in other words, some people are not, well, okay, let me back up for a second. I think if someone's curious about it, find someone who is a teacher, someone who knows something about it to help them through it. There's a lot of yoga instructors who are not awakened in Kundalini, and they do not teach the chakra systems. So try to find someone that they connect with. For me, I found Amma. She's known as Amma, the hugging saint, and she's got a worldwide organization, somebody who can really, I can really learn from, just like anything. Like whenever we need to learn something, we have to go through some sort of schooling. I think what's happening, and the reason why I wrote this book is because I'm also have a lot of energy psychology techniques through the Association of Comprehensive Energy Psychology. And so a lot of people are having this energy awakened with doing either meditation or yoga or some sort of energy work, and no one's talking about it. No one really knows what it is. Chakras are a little bit more acceptable and talked about. I had this one Buddhist client. He said no one talks about the chakra system, and it awakens in meditation. And so a lot of people are like, oh, what's happening to me? And it's scary. And so I think that was more my interest in saying this is something that can happen, and don't be too worried if it's happening, think of it as just you're awakening some spiritual process. And when I say spiritual process, a process where you're discovering more about yourself at a deeper level, as far as who you are as a human being.
And so maybe the baby steps of getting into it are like you start going to yoga, you start moving your body, you start connecting movement to breath. You're like, yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
And then you start getting teachers that are starting to talk to you about the little different, the 8 limbs, and then your mind expands and you say, okay, so there's more to this practice than just being on the mat.
Right.
And then maybe it's about you start to learn a little bit about chakras and understanding that there's this chakra system, which maybe we'll talk about next. And I know that also starts from your base of where the Kundalini energy starts from, and that you're, depending on how you're feeling or, balancing, there's different things that you can do to help bring balance to your system by focusing on the different chakras. And the different chakras are both like mind body type of balancing. And then maybe there's this next level of, okay, well, there's this another step above, like this energetic source energy that I can tap into. And I know that sometimes in yoga, I talk a lot about like prana, as like this life force energy.
Yeah.
And so as I think about, Kundalini and my understanding of it, and like as I picture this serpent, it's almost like this really beautiful creation energy that you can tap into. That's like where prana is life force energy, like Kundalini is like really powerful creation energy that if you're not balanced can be probably very scary, right? If you're not aware of the energy or of how to be one with it, I guess. I don't know, that it can be very scary. And so I said a lot there, and I want to give you a chance to respond. But in your response, maybe start to talk a little bit about how the chakras come into play with all of that. I said a lot, so you pick where you want to go first.
Right. So there's well, let's go back to, first of all, anyone who's listening to this, so I'll talk about me, and because when I heard about when I read a book on the chakra system, I didn't know it was about the chakra system. It was so like Carolyn Mace's 7 Energies of Spirituality or something like that. I can't remember the title. And I was, I grew up in a very strong born again Christian environment, and I was very spiritual. I saw myself as very spiritual, and I said, "Oh, I want to know what she means by that." And that's when I first learned about the chakra system, and it excited me. And I didn't know that it was my path in life. And so anyone who says, "Oh, I want to know more about this," and they get excited about it, well, that's saying something, right? They're saying that they're on the right path. So if someone is not excited about what we're talking about, then that's okay. That just means it's not for them. And don't push it.
And it's not how they connect to energy.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's many ways to connect, right? And so I think what you're attracted to, if you're attracted to Kundalini and wanting to awaken it, I would definitely go, if you can find someone to help you learn about it. I prefer that over all the, thousands of videos on YouTube about it.
It's a one-on-one relationship with a practitioner.
I think that is really helpful, because I know I did work with someone who was really struggling with a really intense awakening that also caused some mental illness at the same time. And I kept asking her what she was doing at the time, and she kept saying everything was normal, everything was fine. And then finally, she had forgotten she was watching a bunch of YouTube videos on meditation and chakra awakening and all these spiritual type practices. And that's what led to it, she said. And she was actually had to be hospitalized a few times. And
geez.
So
it's powerful stuff.
It's
Kundalini energy is stuff.
Yeah.
And I I definitely do know that. But what I really love about all these practices and all the practices under the yoga umbrella is that it really does give the power back to you, and like does remind you that like everything is really inside of you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
All the powers for healing and the powers to connect to energy and the powers to make change in your life and the powers to bring balance and to feel better and just to live better on this earth. It really does like keep on turning the mirror back at you of like, it's really inside of you, which is what I love. And then maybe could you talk a little bit about the chakra systems, and like for those who don't know anything about chakras, like maybe start at the beginning, the base, as they say.
well, the chakra system is, if you think about how we have all these nerve ganglia on the spine, and they correspond to all these nerve ganglia. So you have different areas of your body. And this is what I love about the chakra system and why I love to teach chakra yoga is it helps people to tune in to these areas mentally. So as we know, yoga's very intense mind-body connection, and also we're really also trying to relax the nervous system with our relaxed breathing, slow, deep, warm breaths in and out through the nose versus, when we go jogging. So, but with the chakra system, we talk about 7 centers of major chakras. We have many chakras, and if you think of them, they're just energy vortexes. Now, let me back up. Our body is like an egg shape. We have like an egg-shaped energy field. And I think it's more common now where more people are accepting of the idea that we're energy. We're an energy body, and we have this organic machine-like body that our energy is residing in. And we're all different frequencies of energy and light. So if you think about that, so there's these little vortexes all throughout our body, but there's 7 main ones that start from the base of the spine and go up to like the top of the head. So some traditions will say 14, some traditions might say different. I just like to keep it simple and say 7 right, that we talk about. Because I think energy is extremely complex. I've always felt that way. And the more I learn about it, the more I'm validated with my intuition about that. And so if you think the first chakra, you're thinking about your lower body, legs are the symbols of the base of the spine, feet, knees. And it's the chakra really of our physical body. So the element is earth. Plus, each one of the chakras, have the colors of the rainbow. So the first one is seen as red. Now, not everybody will see. No, let me just back up. There are people who can see energy, whether you like it or not. They could be around you, and it's something that they're born with. They don't have to be spiritual to see energy. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. I've had people I had one person in my kickboxing class come up and tell me how she could see my energy field one time at a party. I just happened to run into her a long time ago. And it was interesting because you don't know who they are, and they'll just, anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a little sidetrack.
Careful what you're thinking and what you're vibing.
Right,
There's someone out there that's picking up on it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And she wasn't the only one who could talk about my aura, but my point is, this is really esoteric for a lot of people and subjective, but it's also very real for people. So people who listen have to be open-minded. My father wasn't open-minded. He's like, if I can't see it, it's not there. So there are people like that, and I respect them too. But so you've got the first chakra, and then the second chakra is our...
What's the name of the first chakra?
Oh,
again?
Muladhara chakra.
Okay.
Yeah. And so hopefully as I go through the chakras, I won't forget their names because they are Sanskrit.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's the Sanskrit name, and I'm just spacing on the root chakra name. It's root chakra, right?
Right.
Root chakra or Muladhara.
Muladhara. Yeah.
Muladhara. Okay, yeah.
So,
and then orange.
And then you've got the orange, and that's the Swadhisthana. And that is the reproductive system, our sexual organs, our sacrum, our hips. And so if you think, and it's also the element is water. So if you think you've got your stability, your base, and then you've got your flexibility and movement, and then you've got your third chakra, and all. Well, let me just go through them real fast. And then you got your third chakra, which is your solar plexus. It's yellow, Manipura chakra, and that is like your color is yellow. I think of it the sun, empowerment, kind of vital life force, energy type of chakra. And then you've got your fourth chakra, the heart chakra. So that's lungs, heart, pericardium, respiratory system, and that's a very powerful chakra. That's color is green. Its element is air, obviously. and so then you've got your fifth chakra, which is at the throat and neck and jaw, and its color is blue. And I always think of sky like freedom, because this is what, like, I'm really we're both utilizing this right now with work. It's the first of our ego chakras. So you've kind of got these three physical lower chakras, and then you got the heart, and then you've got your first ego chakra, which is the fifth chakra, and then it's ether is the element. It's considering element, right? And so space, and that a lot of our ability to create comes from space, right? Or thought or ideas. And then we've got the sixth chakra, the Ajna chakra, and it's well known as the third eye, and that's at the forehead, and it is doesn't have an element. And then it's known a lot of our, it's got the tradition of inner sight. So like if I see something, interestingly, even though some people can see energy with their eyes, like I said, it's very genetic. When I see something, it's coming from my sixth chakra, but I'm seeing it in the occipital lobe. It's so interesting when I get those psychic visions, whether I see a spirit or I get a sense of something. It's really interesting. And then the seventh chakra is the top of the head. I had one client who would see a crown coming out of, each person had a crown, he said. And at the top of the crown, he said he could see an angel connected to that crown. And he
it's beautiful.
See that, right? With his Kundalini Awakening. He was a very visual person. So you've got, and I forgot to say, so we got indigo blue at the sixth chakra, and then we've got like a violet, a beautiful violet on the top. So we got the colors of the rainbow. And as far as that spectrum of light and frequencies. So the base chakra is the lower frequency spectrum, and then we've got the highest frequency spectrum at the very top. And then it makes sense, right? Because our thought process is our highest thought process comes from the very top. I feel like if I'm thinking too much, so a lot of people are online working. A lot of people are constantly thinking. Sometimes they can't sleep at night because they can't turn off their mind. And it's almost like the thought process is going on its own, like a rat in a wheel spinning. And that's telling me that it's probably the crown chakra has too much energy, that it's stuck. It needs to be balanced there from people, using that.
That's probably a common one.
That's exactly right. And so
Yeah.
these chakras, so what's amazing is they're all really multidimensional themes. They're psychophysical. And as I had said, like they can be very like mystical, but they're also really grounded and down to earth. And that we use these, all 7 of them, every day, some more than others.
And how do the chakras relate to Kundalini energy?
So when's the energy, so it's just part of the energy system. And so, and these 7 ones are, the points of them are, like I said, along those nerve ganglia of the spine. And their energy vortex. So if you think of like a spinning wheel, they're spinning either clockwise, counterclockwise. They might get a little stuck. And then as Kundalini is rising, is pushing upwards. And so if there's let's say we talk about being clear and balanced, and if there's something stuck in that chakra system and you've got a really powerful awakening, it might move through it in a really intense way that could be scary for someone. So
Can it be blocked? Because I'm sitting here visualizing the snake moving up, right? You're trying to get it going, and then does it like hit a blockage on a chakra, and it's like, yeah, you're not ready for this, and does it like slow down?
Right,
because you want it to go all the way to the top.
It depends on the person and how they're experiencing it. So I don't really want to say what's like all of this is very. There's a lot of
individual.
Yeah, individual, but what it can do. Let's say you've had a trauma that you haven't worked through. And I have to bring up past lives because it's part of this philosophy. Mm-hmm. All right. So I hope people are okay with that. It could be from even a past life experience and you haven't healed from it yet. And a lot of times we come back to heal, right? Mm-hmm. Or it could be from this lifetime, but you don't remember it because maybe you were a baby. And so maybe let's say it's an emotional block. I'm going to give a simple explanation and let people kind of go with it. Let's say it's an emotional block and it hits it. And all of a sudden, it's moving it out of your system. But as it comes up to be released, you're feeling a rage that you can't control and you don't know why. So this is what it can do. It can start to move out and or you might have some sexual blockages and you might feel extremely like, what is going on with me? Because I'm feeling orgasmic, really sexual, and I don't understand why, because it's moving through the second chakra. That's the first chakra, right? After the first chakra comes the second one, the sexual reproductive organs. And maybe you've had some sexual blockages or traumas or past relationships but I mean, like, these are just some examples that could just start to move out that energy in a very strong, forceful way when you may not be mentally able to handle it yet. Yeah. Possibly. And it can be just really scary. You might feel like you're going crazy with all the emotions that you might be feeling or experiencing.
Well, and the weird thing is like your body holds on to trauma in energetic ways that your mind can't always make sense of. So as your body is processing traumas or breaking things down, your brain's kind of disconnected from it sometimes. That's why I think, in trauma work, you should explore different modalities besides just talk therapy, because I think talk therapy will only get you so far. And your body really needs to energetically work through things when you're really working with like deep trauma. So that makes a lot of sense to me. But maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience to give an example and maybe pull in some of the things we've been talking about that in telling your story.
Yeah, well, So my experience started with me just letting go. I was in a real spiritual awakening. I had intuitively stopped going to church, even though I loved it, because I didn't agree with some of the doctrine, but yet I still really had intense, um, like respect and love for Jesus and the divine, but I didn't have some of the same feelings. I had this I think because of that, I had this really intense inner guide directing me. And so my late 20s, I went through a lot of life changes, and then I eventually discovered yoga in my early 30s. And this was a long time ago. I was in the fitness industry, and this yoga teacher wanted me to take over a class. This is before any yoga studios were around. And maybe we would have one yoga class on a schedule. And this was at, pretty high-end studio. So, she trained me to take over a class, and I was so interested in yoga. It was better for my body because I was wearing myself out with all my other classes. I was um, finishing up my honors program in psychology. I have a lot of my undergrad and graduate work is in psychology. Um, and so I started reading all these books on psychology, no, on yoga, and I started learning all of this philosophy. And I'm kind of wondering if I would have learned as much on philosophy if there were yoga studios. I kind of wonder if it would have been more physical training, because it is such a physically motivated program. A lot of the yoga
In the West.
yeah, in
for
the
sure.
West, yeah. And so and I was able to read these books on philosophy in my graduate program. Interestingly, I had to read, I think, a book a week on how to on counseling, on one of my master's class in counseling. And then I discovered, man, I need to have a guru to teach this. Like, I took it seriously, and I was like,
Yeah.
and nobody, I was not like, I wasn't connecting to anything. And then I was taking yoga trainings, but nobody like that was a guru, who was a real master of what they talk about in yoga philosophy. Until one of my students told me about this woman who's in town I should meet. And that's when I met my guru. And and I thought, okay.
And is that Amma?
Yeah, that's I was like, okay, I can always use her as an example, because it sure isn't gonna be me. Of someone who's attained that oneness with the self. And in Hinduism they call self capital S-E-L.
Yeah.
And so then I'm going through all this, and then I got into doing energy work, and I was getting a lot of energy work done. And again, it was an intuitive process with how amazing I was learning in my graduate courses about how amazing the mind is, how much you can learn and train someone how to do something even though they have amnesia. And it's like, even though they don't remember learning it, they'll get up and pick up. And I was like, there's so much fascinating research on the mind, right? And I'm like, well, of course, there's so much more than just a physical body going on here, right? And somehow I wound up. So long story short, I'm going through all of these changes and awakenings. And then and this is something I think is good for people and viewers, things to listen to, is that when you start these spiritual journeys, and I was just in my early 30s, a lot of people will go to psychics and tarot card readers, and they want to know their future, and astrologers, and that's all good. And then they go to energy workers, and they want to know, their past lives and everything. And I was interested in all that, but I didn't really, when I went to these energy workers, I didn't really ask them about my past lives. I just wanted to be healed from a lot of my traumas. I had a lot of traumas from that.
In this life, you're like, I'm not
I know,
in this
in
life.
this
I'm
life.
not even thinking about anything else I'm bringing from other lives at this point.
Exactly. And I wasn't raised to even consider past lives. That's not how, even in my philosophy of how I was raised. So they would tell me these things, but, they would just bring it upon themselves to tell me these things. And so all of this was so weird to me and, but I just started realizing I'm putting way too much energy trying to figure all this stuff out. And I just have to let it go. And I'm a big pray person. When I meditate, I'll pray to God. And I just said, God, I finally sat there and said, God, I don't care anymore. And plus being trained as a psychologist is constantly critical mind. You're really strengthening that critical mind. I was like, I don't really care anymore. I just am letting it go, and just whatever happened to me in the past, if it's real, it's real. If not, no worries. But that sense of surrender.
So these people you were working with were really putting it in your mind that you had like past life healing stuff you needed to do?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And they would tell me what it was, even though, so when I work with people with past lives, it's not that I'm telling them what I see. They're telling me what they want to work on. But
right. It's interesting that people put that on you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So be careful. I mean, you say be careful who you work with, because people shouldn't probably tell you that, right? You can figure it out yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. And so
now you had this huge burden and you're like, God, I'm over it. Like, help me take this away. Like, I don't want to try so hard.
Right. I just kind of surrendered to the process of really going back to God and surrendering. And that's when something shifted. Oh my God, I feel it in my heart just talking about it, just talking about that memory. Because I think the surrendering to God, there was something within me that was so strong, and going back to that surrender, and then something happened. Like I said, something happened during that meditation and prayer, and that's when it started. And that was
And what was it?
Yes. Okay. So I was starting to have a hard time breathing. It affected my prana energy field so much, and my diaphragm and my lungs. I was constantly having a hard time catching my breath. I started, shaking and doing things, and having, like you said, these tics or Tourette's or, these spontaneous movements. And plus I was an energy worker at this time. And I would go through the procedures with my clients and they thoroughly enjoyed it. But I'd be like, how was it? They'd be like, oh, it's so great. I feel so relaxed. I had these visions. And they'd go, what did you see? What did you notice? Nothing. I'd be like, nothing. I didn't connect. But then after this experience, I started really connecting energetically with my clients, and it was so much more of a connection, energetic connection.
And so once it's awakened in you, is it something you have control over? Like, can you reenact that to have it come back? Or is it now kind of like, I'm just going to pop in like when you least expect it and say, hey, like, how does it work?
That's a really good question, because for me, if I didn't meditate or do any spiritual practice, I wasn't affected by the movements and breathing challenges at all. I would just be fine. But I don't think that's necessarily true for a lot of people. I think I'm lucky, or not lucky, maybe blessed, or maybe I had, like I said, some already spiritual teachers working through me on a multi-dimensional level, kind of helping me through it.
So that went on for a while. Every time that you would go to meditate, it would happen to you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Meditate. And if I did,
Did you have to complete some circuit or something to kind of get through it, or were you working with people who were helped you like identify it and work with it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I didn't work with anybody. I tried to see if there was a circuit for it to complete, and all it did was get stronger, and so I just had to stop it. And I remember going to get a blessing when on my...
How did you stop it?
Oh, just by not meditating.
For how long though? Do you still not meditate?
Oh no, I meditate, but in those days when it happened, and this is what I'll tell people too. I usually have to have if I have a client who's starting an awakening process, I'll have them stop depending on what's going on. Like, for example, a lot of people, it didn't happen to me so much with heat, but a lot of people will get heat, like they'll feel intense heat, and it's not a menopausal hot flash, it's something different, but it's probably like that. But I mean, I'm definitely post-menopause. I'm just saying, I know what that's like. But like back in those days, I wasn't, and I didn't have that problem with heat. But some people will need to stop meditating when it starts to rise. They'll get intensely hot to the place where they might have to sit in a cool bathtub, or like a really cold bathtub. They'll need to stop meditating. Sometimes they might need to do more active meditation.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to activate Kundalini, or do you not? Like, you know what I mean? It's so when we first started, we were talking about like Kundalini is a source energy. It's, aligned with Goddess Shakti, very much like, it seems like you want it, but not too much of it.
I think that wanting it, but not too much of it is a slippery slope. I think that my desire for people is to really be their true selves. But everyone has to find out what that disposition is. So we all have a disposition. Some people who are interested in it, I didn't realize I was going to be interested in it. They could have had a past lifetime already where they've been with a guru. At least that's what Amma teaches. And when somebody is really on a strong spiritual path and they're attracted to certain things, it could be that they've already had a spiritual teacher, and they haven't had it in this lifetime, and they know that, but they have this strong attraction towards it. They may have already had experiences in past lifetimes. So I think that's why I say I'm a big proponent of inner guidance and intuition, and that people should never be feeling like they should do something because. And I try to.
So this is just something where if you're called to it and it comes into your life. Sorry, the dog. If you guys can hear my dog barking, and it's like, let's say, if you were hearing this conversation and you are drawn to it, then you're like, yes, it's for you. If you're hearing this conversation and you're like, you know what, I don't believe in any of that, then it's not for you.
Right.
And those that need it find it, and it serves them in the way it's supposed to. And those that don't need it and it's not part of their path, then it's maybe that's the way to look at it.
I think that's a good way to sum it up. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no one path is better. I don't want people to think that either.
Yeah. Well, and so when I think of yoga, I feel like is very broad. I feel like yoga is for absolutely everyone, and there's different, types of yoga. And the version of yoga that I teach is very westernized, and I do always try to take it back to the philosophy and the 8 limbs and just the basics of, we're all just trying to live better in our bodies, in this world, better in our minds, that type of thing. So it's very much like a mind-body practice. But Kundalini definitely seems like, a branch of it that is maybe more specific, which I think is really cool. And so what I would love is if you have time to share maybe like a 5-minute Kundalini practice, if that's okay. And maybe as you share it, just kick it off and let us know, like set the stage for like what you're sharing, like what we should our intention should be as we go into it. And we'll just follow along so we can get a taste of what it's like to try to, and I guess the practice would be to try to activate Kundalini energy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm going to I like to start with some sort of prayer or invocation, because I like to bring, and this is, I think, why people I like to really bring in that, to try to bring in that surrender to something really strong and protective. So let's go ahead and relax. Of course, those of you who are, if you're driving listening to this, you don't want to
be safe.
And I'm going to have people either close their eyes or just to soften their eyes, to relax. Okay. And just take a few deep breaths, maybe shrug your shoulders a little bit, relax in through your neck and shoulders, and drop down into your breath. Feel the breath as it enters your nose. It'll be a cooling sensation as you inhale. And as you exhale, feel the breath exit your nose and feel the warmth. So you'll inhale and exhale. And then start to feel your body breathe you. As you breathe, feel the heart and lungs and stomach expand as you inhale. And as you exhale, just feel that softening and that relaxing and letting go as you exhale. And then I'm going to just do a quick connection, bringing a cord of energy from your heart. So we're going to just do a quick heart opener. So connect with your heart and just think about how grateful you are to be fed, to have a place, a warm place or warm environment that you're in. Maybe you have a job, even if you like it or don't like it. And just think about all the things you're grateful for in this moment, and that we realize life could take us sideways, as we know it's happening in other countries. There's a lot of suffering. So be thankful and open your heart up with that gratitude. Maybe there's a person that you're really thankful for, a child that you love, and send that love and gratitude up through your heart, up through like a golden cord of energy from your heart to the top of your head, from your heart to the top of your head into the heavens, and invite in the goddess. I like to connect with Goddess Kali or Divine Mother. Maybe it's Mother Mary. Connect with the goddess Kuan Yin, Saraswati. Connect. Maybe it's Earth. Maybe Earth is your symbol of the goddess, or a beautiful tree, or your favorite animal. And invite that energy in. And invite that energy in to ground you and connect you and to help you and guide you to have just a little bit of a Kundalini experience right now in this moment. And pray in any way that is right for you, just to see what it would be like, a little taste of it. Surrender to that guidance. And then bring your awareness down, or actually let's start with the top of your head. Bring your awareness to the top of your head, your crown chakra. As we're already working on that crown chakra, we open it up, letting go of any bad feelings or feelings of guilt or not feeling worthy to have a Kundalini experience. And instead, bring in the energy, transform that energy to the energy of innocence. And that you deserve it just because you're alive, just because you're here right now in this moment. That innocence like a child. Beautiful. Now drop down to your sixth chakra, your third eye. And maybe you heard a lot of things you didn't understand or agree with. Just keep what you want and get rid of the rest. As you open your third eye, letting go of distrust and bringing in that trust. And being honest with yourself. Yeah, I feel some distrust there. But I choose to trust in my own personal experience and my intuition. Bring that choice in. And then dropping down to your throat, your fifth chakra. And let go of maybe the shoulds. Maybe all the shoulds you've had to struggle with growing up, the insecurities, the things you needed to do to feel love that may be confusing for you. Maybe things you've done that you feel ashamed of. Just bring in freedom and support. Transform your fifth chakra with that sense of spiritual pride, which is humble and full of self-esteem. And then dropping down to your heart, take a breath into your heart, your chest. And a lot of us have a lot here. Betrayal, suffering, anger, heartaches, loss. There's a lot here, probably for most of us, all of us. And just recognizing it, being honest, recognizing what's there, observing it, and choosing love and forgiveness. It's a choice. It's challenging. And just being open to the idea of love and forgiveness to heal your heart and just strengthen it. And then dropping down to your stomach, your solar plexus, the area, your abdomen, your personal fire, the area that stress really affects, that can bog us down. And choose easiness. Let this process of Kundalini energy be easy from here on out, not harsh, but easy and gentle. Let that be your prayer, that this process is easy and gentle, slow and patient and kind. And then dropping down to your hips, your pelvis, your sexual organs, your sacrum, the area that we often hold fear and anxieties. Bringing in courage. It takes courage to do a lot of this deep healing work. To feel our feelings, to be honest with ourselves. Bring in the energy of courage. Courage to experience such an intense spiritual process of Kundalini Rising. And then dropping down to our first chakra. So we're always feeling grounded. And so we want to see if we can take any shakiness from the first chakra, shakiness or stubbornness or hard-headedness in this area. These are some of the themes of the first chakra. If it's stuck, and to bring in stability, grounding, and a deep connection to earth. And as you connect to earth, imagine that your legs and feet are connected to earth energy, like you're rooted all the way down to the earth's core. Beautiful. Now from here, go ahead, now that you're really connected to heaven and earth, go ahead and pray and ask the Kundalini to make itself known inside you and to awaken and to arise. And just see what happens. I'll let myself be quiet for a moment. You just take a minute to be quiet and just have an inner experience and dialogue with this powerful Kundalini Shakti. Beautiful. Now, that was just a moment. What we're going to do now is take 3 long, deep breaths and really focus back into your breathing again. And as you do that, I'm going to have you cross your arms and just rub the sides of your arms. And then start to open your eyes. And you can also, this is one grounding technique, just crossing your arms. You can also rub your legs. Okay, there's many ways to ground. Okay. So, Alicia, how was that for you?
It was beautiful. I definitely, when you got to, I think it was the solar plexus chakra and talking about ease, I was like, yeah, more of that, please. I definitely got stuck in that section. So, and I feel like in my yoga practice, I'm very much attracted to like core work. And I don't know if that's tied together, but I seem to focus a lot in that. And I definitely want to bring more of that into my life. So that was beautiful, though. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.
You're welcome. I know when I did it, one of the things that I wanted to say is a lot of people who have Kundalini Rising will see things. And like I said, for me, it's in the back of my head. They'll see a snake. And one of the things that came up was like, oh yeah, there it is. Here I am. And it's like, so I thought I'd throw that out there because, again, some of these images, people are like, oh my gosh, what am I, and so there's that.
Yeah, staying open to it.
Yeah, staying open to it and just look it up and not be afraid of it. Because a lot of these are goddess or feminine symbols that were made to look evil through,
right.
Yeah.
The patriarchy. We won't go there right now.
Yeah.
So I know that I feel like we've just scratched the surface and it's such a huge topic. But maybe we can wrap up, and I would love for you just to kind of cover a little bit about, maybe a resource that people can learn more about Kundalini energy that you think is a great starting point? And then I would love for you to just let people know how to find you and anything else you kind of wanted to share as we wrap up.
Yes. Yes. So I think my book, it's just it's just really a small little book, and it's
an easy read. Yeah, that is yep.
Yeah.
And that's on your website.
Yes. And then my bibliography has a lot of really good books that go into a lot more in depth. Like there's a doctoral student from the college I went to, the graduate school. In fact, the doctoral thesis on energy is transformation.
So those are the 2 books that you've written?
No, this is from this is from a doctor.
Energies of Transformation.
Yeah, this is Bonnie Greenwell. And
Energies of Transformation by Bonnie Greenwell. And then your book name
is Kundalini. And I entitled it Kundalini Empowering the Mind, Body, Heart, and Soul, is because I feel like that's what it does.
Yeah.
It's very self-empowering, right? When you have that nice non-dual relationship, it really brings a lot of, I think, health and wellness to our whole being. And
I agree.
I also have resources, like I had just produced an 80-minute video people can purchase for $30 that go into a lot of energy techniques. I don't go into the Kundalini Awakening meditation, but I do in my book. But I do have a chakra clearing and balancing. I do go over the acupressure points that you can tap on to help with health and wellness. And I go into the chakra, the aura energy field in different meditations. And then I also have a YouTube channel that goes into chakra yoga and some lectures on.
And where can people find all these resources? On your website?
Yes, on my website. My YouTube is Debora Cohen, CEHP, which stands for Certified Energy Health Practitioner. That was a big certification.
And your website is
Debora Cohen at Gmail. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of my email. My email is DeboraCohen@gmail.com. And my website is Wellness with Debora.
Perfect.
No, wait. I'm sorry. I'm in a different state, and I'm not thinking. I'm like, after I do a meditation,
I know.
I'm like,
bring it back to business.
I know. And I'm like blanking on my own website. Hold on. I'm like, wait a second.
I think I know it.
Is pretty funny.
Wellness with Debora.
Yeah.
You're right.
Wellness with Debora.
Wellness with DEBORAH.
No H. Just DEBORA.
No?
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's right. DEBORA. Sorry, I typed it in but didn't hit.
Yeah. It's wellnesswithdebora.com, right?
Okay. Well, I wasn't very helpful there. Sorry about that. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I think we covered what we could during our time today. And then I think your website and your YouTube are super great resources. Everyone go check them out. And thank you for the beautiful offering and just spending the time with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alicia, for having me. Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you for listening to Humanize the Hustle podcast. If you would like to get in touch with the show, email me at myalchemylife@gmail.com or follow me on Instagram at Wellness with Alicia. And if you like the show, please share it with someone you love and make sure and give us a 5-star review. Talk to you next time, and remember, health and happiness is non-negotiable.